This is how to win the URA Finale with Grass Wonder. Grass Wonder is a turf track runner specializing in mile and long distances, although she is perfectly capable at the medium distance. As for style, she specializes in the pace chaser and late surger style. But due to her ability Focus Mine, which increases her velocity when passing another runner towards the back during the final straight, as well as her ability Slick Surge, which increases her acceleration in the late race, I will be building her as a late surger. Although you can use her as a pace chaser in the URA Finale, and in fact it might be a little easier due to the lesser power requirements and the lesser effect of RNG, but you will not be getting her full potential unless using her as a late surger. For Sparks, I recommend stamina and power, and don't be fooled by the A rank and the B plus rank. All you're going to be looking for are these sparks, and these aren't going to be very difficult to achieve with a little bit of play. But if you are just starting out or are just a little unlucky, make sure you utilize guest legacy Umas, which you can do 3 times per day, which can easily get you to the amount of sparks that I'm using. For support cards, I recommend 4 speed and 2 stamina, especially if you're just starting out. For the purposes of this video, I will not be using any SSR cards or any gold skills, just to show a run that can be fairly achievable by pretty much anyone. Although if you do have them yourself, such as the event special week or super creek or fine motion, definitely use them if you have them. But other than that, let's get into the run. So our first goal in pretty much every career scenario is going to be friendship training, or increasing the friendship of your support cards. And also to increase facility level, and increase facility level by training one stat 4 times. So if there are sort of ties between the different stats, go with speed or stamina, just so you can increase the facility level. You're definitely just going to be wanting to go with whatever stat has the most supports in it, with the goal of getting to the orange friendship so you can start rainbow training, which gives you a bigger bonus. So early on, the quantity of the supports are more important than necessarily the stat, but for ties, you're definitely going to be wanting to lean towards speed or stamina. Now, a little bit later on, this can change depending, if it's very close to orange, or if you're just kind of falling behind the stats, your facility level's low. But early on, don't worry too much about it. Whatever has the most supports, click it. Besides friendship training, our more medium-term goal is to hit about 300 stamina by the Japanese Derby. Now, I fell a little short. I had about 260 without any endurance recovery skills. Barely kind of squeak through. So the goal that you're going to be shooting for is about 300, which can feel like a lot, but just know that that's going to be a large bulk of what we're going to need. So even though you probably only need about 325 for the Japan Cup, which is the race after the Japanese Derby, I would recommend trying to get to, or at least get very close to, about 350, because that's what you're going to be needing for Arima Keenan. For our first skill, we are going to be getting Prudent Positioning, which, since we are a late surger, any maneuverability or navigational skills are going to be very helpful for us. For the first race, it's not super important that you win, although it does help, even though in this case, I was 9 fans short of the next race's requirements. So I actually had to do another race just for 9 fans, but it is what it is. So when you're deciding when to do races, if you do need fans like this, always check your training first. And if you don't have a good training, then you can do a race. Or because you don't need energy to race, you can actually do it if you have very low energy as well, is also another good time. But yeah, besides that, just some more friendship training. Nothing too crazy different. And then again, you can recover a maximum of 70 energy. So you're definitely going to be wanting to maximize that and be efficient with it, and only resting when you have around, a third of your energy left. Sometimes you may have to take, an 8% risk here and there, and it's perfectly acceptable to do so, especially when you don't have super strong legacy Umas or support cards. You might need to take a little more risks than other people might have that are further along in their progression. But yeah, the first skill I took was Prudent Positioning. Because we are a late surger, these navigation skills are definitely helpful, because we are going to be coming from behind. And again, I'm not going to be taking any gold skills. I'm not even sure if we can get one in this one, but or any of the legacy Uma skills. So the next skill I get is the Slick Surge skill, which increases acceleration. That's obviously, acceleration, velocity, the speed types ones are always going to be good. All right, so again, Japanese Derby is going to be the first sort of break point in terms of stamina. I had to get more fans again. So just doing a race. I see a G1. It's a risk, but I don't need that many fans. It does sort of end up being a waste overall, because I did poorly in it. But again, I knew coming in I only need about 224 fans. Even if I lost, it would still fulfill the requirement. So I think it's a perfectly fine risk to take. And we could honestly still win that one. It's just a little bit of RNG is not on our side. So yeah, I'm pretty close. Just trying to level those stamina ones to the orange so I can all start getting rainbow stamina training. But I know I'm cutting it a little bit. So I see a nice 3 for stamina. Pick that. And then even though there was a rainbow friendship there, I'm still trying to increase friendship. You don't always want to just, if it's rainbow, like you click it automatically. Sometimes good check, especially early on, you still want to level up your guys. Again, there is a time and a place for it. Like if I saw rainbow stamina, I would probably go for that, even if it only had 1, just because I know I'm going to be needing stamina. I rest. And towards the end, I was like really close to getting orange stamina friendship. And with 2 turns left, I had a rainbow and I got a little greedy. I probably should have just went stamina, but I was hoping to get a better stamina roll with the stamina support cards in it. It didn't happen, unfortunately. So I was a little behind on our stamina goal, especially because I do not have an endurance recovery skill. At this point, if I had an endurance recovery skill with about 260, I would have been cool. I've been fine, but I didn't. So I was definitely cutting it close. I would recommend 300 if you can. But again, with a little bit of luck, you can sneak by with about 260, which is what I had, about 259. After that, I think that's the biggest hurdle, is just getting that initial 300 stamina, because it's actually not too drastic after this. I would say you maybe need around 325 for the Japan Cup, and you have 11 turns for that. Obviously, you're going to be wanting to build more because the very last race is going to need around 500, but you're not in as much of a rush as the initial portion when you're just trying to get your friendship trainings, but you're also trying to get that 300 stamina. So after this, you're in a solid spot, especially if you have 300, because again, I barely skirted through, which means I had to make up 15,663 fans, which is going to be a lot. It's probably going to realistically be about 2 races, which is 2 turns, which could have been spent elsewhere, as opposed to if I want it, I maybe only need to do 1, maybe 0. Definitely, it's better to fill the requirements early on. It'll snowball. After that, you'll more easily get stats and such. But I think this is a good representation of, you don't have to play perfectly to win. You can fumble here and there. It's totally fine. Just having grasp of the basics and just what stats you're going to be needing in the future will definitely go a long way. But yeah, I need to make up a lot more stamina. So at this point, when you are looking for races, be wary of the races that you pick, because whatever type of race that you ran the most of is what your URA Finale is going to be. So because we are going to have a good amount of stamina, we obviously will not have as much speed. So you're going to try to avoid the mile, which is what I ended up with. I ended up with the mile, and you don't need that much stamina for a mile, but you need a lot of speed. But because obviously we needed the stamina for the long race at the end, I was lacking in speed, and it was probably a lot closer than it should have been if the finale was the medium. So yeah, just another thing to keep in mind. And for the skill, I take Studious. Again, it's a late surger skill. Helps to maneuver, to navigate around. So for the Japan Cup, I have around 321 stamina plus an endurance recovery skill. So I am in a decent spot stamina wise, but if you can sneak in a little bit more, that's obviously going to be good, as well as for the future, it's going to be easier. You probably need about 325, but if you can get it to 350 or so, you're going to be in a solid spot. It also helps because it's a very short duration between the Japan Cup and a Rimakinen, but you're not going to be needing too much more stamina. If you have about 325 to 350, you should be still fine. Because a Rimakinen is a very short, long race. So around here, I'm thinking about the unique skill trigger. That is going to be happening in early February. So if you don't know, every UMA has a unique skill which levels up at certain dates as long as you meet the requirements. So for the first one is the early February, you're going to be needing 60,000 fans, and then it happens again in early April, which you'll need 70,000 fans, as well as having the Director's Friendship up to green, and then finally late December at 120,000 fans. Luckily, I won a Rimakinen. If I did not end up winning a Rimakinen, I probably wouldn't have enough. So you might have to take in an extra race here if you don't have 60,000 by early February. And again, if you don't have 70,000 by early April. Our next goal after Rimakinen is to get around 400 stamina by Takarazuku Kinen. If you're sort of around the guidelines, it's only about 50 more. It's nothing too crazy and you get a good amount of time. And then here, not too many skills that we can use, but Lone Wolf's a good one to get, at least especially for a career. My Nichi Okan is a shorter race, so there isn't a stamina requirement that you're trying to hit, but for the last race of Rimikinen, you're going to be wanting around 500, again, or less depending on your endurance recovery skills. You get a few days between that and a Rimikinen, so while it's not necessary, the stamina isn't necessary for this next upcoming race, this is where you're going to be making the stamina push a couple days before, and the days you have after. That's when you're going to be making your final push for stamina. So yeah, you'll have about 4 turns left. Definitely, I was playing a little too greedy. I definitely should have, even if I didn't get rainbow stamina, I definitely should have just been hitting it. Even at the start, even the 4th day, I should have went stamina, just kept spamming it. But I was like, oh, I saw a couple of rainbows for speed, and I went with it. Playing a little greedy, playing a little fast and loose. You should probably play a little safer. It's probably gonna make your life a lot easier, but sometimes you do have to take risks every now and then. Because I had an endurance recovery skill, I felt that it was just enough. So 450 with about 1 endurance recovery skill, I felt okay enough. So the reason why I'm trying to not overdo my stamina is because the URA Finale is more than likely not going to be long unless you did a bunch of optional long races. But more than likely it's going to be medium, maybe mile like mine ended up. But good chance of going to be medium, and in which case you won't need any more stamina. So you don't want more than you need, essentially. So you're trying to get away with as little stamina as that you can get by. And luckily it worked out. It's a little min-maxy, but just trying to squeeze out as many stats as you can is always the end goal. It's something that you'll eventually just intuitively do. But yeah, so for the URA Finale, again, we got the mile, which is not great because you really don't need that much stamina. I think if I had the medium URA Finale, I would have done a lot better. So if you can do medium optional races, go for the medium, just because for the mile, we're just going to have a lot more speed. The shorter the distance of the race, the more speed you're going to need. Because we had to have a good amount of stamina that we couldn't put into speed, you are going to be at a disadvantage if you do end up with the mile URA Finale. But again, still possible. But yeah, also use your user clocks. I wanted to leave that in just to show you this isn't going to be perfect run. I did make a few mistakes here and there, and I did end up with the mile URA Finale, which is going to be a bit harder with our stats than a medium. So yeah, definitely do not be afraid to use your clocks. Maybe if it's super early on in the career, but especially towards the end, yeah, just they give them out, you get a bunch. So for the finals, it was definitely a little nerve-wracking. Again, being a late surger or an end closer is so fun. You're always on the edge of your seat because I'm 13th going into the last straight. Then got some good activations. Still worried, and it was still very, very, very close, but I think it's really fun just to see your Uma just surging in from the back. Oh, is she gonna make it? Is she gonna make it? And then, she made pulse through, and then it's heart stops. You're oh. So yeah, that was the URA Finale with Grass Wonder. Obviously the run, very sketchy. I got a little greedy when I probably shouldn't have at times. But again, it shows you what you can get away with, especially only using SR and R cards, no SSRs, no gold skills, no unique skills passed down from Legacy Umas or anything like that. So if you do have those advantages, they should help you out immensely with your run. But again, you don't necessarily need them. Got terrible sparks again. Well, I mean, I shouldn't be expecting any good sparks for this one. Maybe for speed, but that was literally the only thing that could have gotten a 3-star. So hopefully you guys can win the URA Finale for yourself. And these are the final stats: 780 speed, 502 stamina, probably a little bit more power if you can sneak it. Didn't really need as many guts, and probably would have needed a little bit more wit. If you can kind of play with your stats a little bit, if you have a little leeway, definitely get a little bit more power than this, a little more wit. But otherwise, this is generally around what you're shooting for. Other than that, hopefully you guys liked the video. If you liked it, if it helped you out, please like and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. If you watched to the end, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you. And other than that, see you on the track.